First, let's talk about labels and classification. The important concept to understand here is that classifications are not part of Azure Information Protection. Classifications are going to come from somewhere within your company, whether that's the compliance group or the security group, legal or HR, or all of them getting together and determining a classification approach that they want to take for the documents that are stored within your system. That will help define broad categories like general use, internal only, or highly confidential. Those are the type of classifications that are going to be created outside the context of Azure Information Protection. Where the magic happens is once you have determined your classification taxonomy, now that can be turned into labels that will be used in Azure Information Protection to apply your classifications to real-life documents. It is possible with labels to create a one-level hierarchy, so there can be a parent label and then sub-labels. So in the example I gave before of a internal-only classification, you could have an internal-only parent label and then different internal-only sub-labels below that. Now that hierarchy only goes one deep, so you can't have a sub-label of a sub-label, but you can sort of group them together, and that makes it easier when you want to add those labels to a policy. So now that we kind of have a framework for understanding what labels are, let's talk a little bit about label settings. The first group of settings is really the common settings that you'd expect for anything, which is giving that label a name and a description. And then we get into visual marking. So this is the way that you can visually show that a label has been applied to a document. And that could be in the form of a header or a footer that gets applied, or even a watermark across the document to let people know that a document has been classified in a particular way. The next section will deal with protection, and we'll get to that in a few slides, but just understand that labels are where you can configure what type of protection should be applied when that label's applied. And then finally, conditions. The conditions section makes it easier to detect certain data types within a document and suggest or automatically apply labels that go along with that data type.